You really? So you want to talk about John Cena?
I
Let's
mean, we
leave the show
can.
with John Cena. What you want to
Yeah,
talk
man.
about in
Look,
regards to John Cena?
I don't know. You probably didn't watch it. I watched the end of it. It's just wrong, man. He lost, and then everyone starts booing the F word to Triple H. Yeah, wild stuff, man.
Was it part of the script?
Oh yeah, of course.
I was like, screw you, fans.
Hmm.
Boo. It
I
never
knew that.
fades out when it comes to wrestling, bro. I listen,
Yeah,
I haven't really I was a massive, massive wrestling fan when I was a kid, though. Leading up to probably somewhere like around 10th grade, I think, in high school. Then it kind of went girl crazy. And, you know, who was the biggest in your mind, your opinion? Who was the biggest wrestler of all time?
oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin
Over The Rock, over
over the Rock.
Hogan, over
Over, I
no,
mean, to me,
yeah,
and then you got, of course, Shawn Michaels. You got Undertaker. So those
yeah,
were all the guys I grew up watching, man. So,
yeah.
and John was good. I just thought whenever he was essentially when he started, it was kind of like phasing out of the whole wrestling thing. So,
Yeah, I would probably give it to Shawn Michaels. Even though like Stone Cold and The Rock were probably, if you want to talk about the biggest icons, right along with Hulk Hogan and guys that like really changed the culture and probably saved the WWF at a time when they were lacking some of that appeal that they used to have.
hmm,
Because it took Stone Cold to turn on some people for his character to really take off. And
it was great,
remember him
man.
showing up. Remember him showing up at Brian Pillman's house
Oh
and
yeah, beat him
beating
up.
up all of his friends, and then him allegedly pulling the heater on them.
Yeah, I never got to see him wrestle live. I did go to
Yeah,
SummerSlam back in 2001, and I saw The Rock and Booker T. That was the main event. That was pretty cool.
the Rock and Booker T's big moment, and Booker T still couldn't close the deal. Oh, wrestling was great back then, man.
Yeah, it was.
All right, you know what else is great? NFL football. So let's get into a quick recap. 29-28, Falcons beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a few nights ago. I was kind of surprised and disappointed that Tampa turned in the game they turned in. I'm starting to question ultimately how good Tampa really was all season, if you want to be honest about it, because, Baker's been good. Baker's been really good, just to be honest about it. But I don't think Baker's ever been one of those quarterbacks that can carry you for an entire season. Baker played at a NFL MVP caliber level the
First 4
first
weeks. Yeah.
first 4, 5, 6 weeks for that matter. Then once pieces around him started to fall apart, the guys in the running back room started to hit IR and miss games. Missing Mike Evans for the amount of time that he missed Mike Evans this season didn't help as well.
Yeah.
The defense has been kind of hit or miss. They've given away. This is part of the downside to playing, actually, to flying as close to the sun as they have all season. They were winning these type of games the first month
Yeah.
and a half of the season. Now they're losing them, and you're losing games within the division you can't afford to lose. So it's looking bad for Tampa. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Tampa at this point in time would have been chased down by Carolina and surpassed by Carolina and be looking up at Carolina, I would have said you were crazy because Carolina was looking like they were heading in the opposite direction. And so we're going to get to Carolina later on in the show as well. But what was your take on the Falcons and Bucks? And are you surprised that they gave away another one?
Well, I mean, when you look at it, they were up 20, I think it was 2014 late in the game. So, I mean, everyone figured, all right, game over. And then Baker throws the interception, the Falcons score. And, the last couple times that Kirk Cousins has played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's won. And he's thrown over 300 yards. And he did that again on Thursday. In a down year where obviously Drake London's still out, right? The Falcons they're not as good as what maybe some people thought they were going to be. But the one consistency is Bijan Robinson. I mean, this guy running the football, catching the football out of the backfield, he's still a playmaker, right? And Kirk made enough plays on this Tampa Bay defense that has not been playing good lately, and they won the game on a walk-off field goal. So you got a team that obviously is not going to the playoffs, and now you have another team that potentially is not going to go to the playoffs because as it stands right now, Carolina is, the first in that division. They still play twice the next 3 weeks. So, I mean, Carolina's got the driver's seat right now, and they play a New Orleans team today. So,
Yeah, the only thing I think right now for Tampa that you can kind of hang your hat on is the fact that Carolina is still young and inconsistent. So, they're kind of in first right now in that division by default because Tampa has lost so much and fell off as much as they have the past month of the season. But it's not over if you're Tampa because,
well,
Carolina hasn't earned the right to really be crowned as the team that's going to jump up and really take that division by the horns neither. So, one thing you got to do is stop the bleeding, though. You can fix this whole situation by if you start winning some damn games. and,
well,
and if you're not winning games, how you expect to get back into it.
well, here's the thing too. I mean, Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Bucks, he is a defensive-minded head coach. So when the defense is struggling quite a bit, then some people start questioning, hey, is this guy the right guy for the job? Right. We know that he was on that staff with Bruce Arians, and then Bruce left because Tom came back, and Tom probably did not want Bruce to be the head coach there. And he's been there ever since. And they won the division. They've had some success in the playoffs. But look, if they lose out, we might be talking about a change at the head coach.
Yeah.
Did you see his press conference Thursday after the game?
Yeah.
That was as animated as I've
frustrated.
seen Todd Bowles be ever.
Yeah.
And that's starting to sit in. I'm starting to see the Jets Todd Bowles there now in Tampa.
Yeah. And, as a head coach in this league, you only get to him so many bites of the apple. That's a team that I had winning that division kind of handily.
I
kind of
did too.
figured Carolina would finish second because I figured Bryce Young would take the next step, which it appears he has taken the next step, as well as some of the pieces around him. That defense has been really good as well in Carolina. But the injuries have hit Tampa the last couple seasons as well, but you can't really use that as an excuse because the injuries have hit everybody. The injuries have hit my team, and my team is still 8-5. They managed to beat the Bucks earlier in this season at a point in time where both teams had their sets of injuries. We were down to like our fourth corners, and they were down to their third and fourth wide receivers. And Mike Evans went out there, got hurt again, and was out of the game. And we managed to go ahead and pull that off against them. But something's missing in Tampa, even outside of the injury thing, because they play down to the competition way too much. They find themselves flying way too close to the sun too often. And they're in games where they should be winning by 10, 15 plus points, and they find themselves just holding on for dear life as they did against Tampa. And when you live by the sword, you die by the sword. With that brand of football, you find yourself as probably a 7 or 8 win team. And they could find themselves in that situation.
And here's the thing. The team's not playing well.
Right.
You can't fire all the players. Who you can't fire is the head coach. And the head coach is the one that's leading the charge, offense, defensively. Look, if they don't make playoffs, I think Todd Bowles is gone.
Yeah, I mean, and just to be fair about it, you look at the revolving doors when it comes to the head coaching in the NFL. That's kind of the way it goes. I think Todd Bowles understands that as well. Hey, listen, man, that's not an old football team. That's still a relatively young football team. Now they're old at certain positions, and they've whiffed on some picks in the draft, sure, but that's still a team that should probably be better than 7 wins right now. Maybe 8 wins, and you're not. And when you're the head coach who's been fired in places before, it's kind of easier to get rid of you because you've been the common denominator in the losing in multiple places. You're right. He's going to go before Baker Mayfield goes.
Yeah.
And Baker shouldn't go.
Yeah.
He's going to go before a lot of other people go in upper management. But maybe it's time for him to go. It's sometimes things get stale. Sometimes head coaches get a team to a certain level, and it takes another guy to come in with new vision, new philosophy, sometimes new scheme, and can sometimes get those teams over the hump. So I don't know. I'm disappointed in Tampa, though.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's gonna be Jason Light's call if Todd's gonna come back or not. I think that's gonna be an ownership decision, and we'll see what the Glazer family decides to do after the year.
It's gonna be interesting to find out.
Yep.
So let's slide over to a game between two high level elite quarterbacks who find themselves at the current moment on the outside looking in regards to the playoffs. Both have suffered very disappointing seasons within their own rights. You can argue how good the Bengals would be right now if Joe Burrow had played all season, but that's neither here nor there. They still had an awful defense, an offensive line that was still makeshift. There were still issues on that team that hadn't been addressed, and it reared its ugly head this season. The Trey Hendrickson situation, the drama that carried out all off season,
And
turned
now he's
into a
out.
situation where he's been hurt for the better part of the season. So, and then the Baltimore Ravens, who started 1-5 and have now crawled back into playoff contention just to lose two straight. So, Ravens Bengals. I don't know what to make of this. Who does it matter more to? Let's
Well,
just
I,
start
I
with that.
well, I think it matters more to the Ravens, but again, we're talking about another football team, disappointing season, right? In a year where the Chiefs, a team that's beat them in the playoffs, is down. They should be able to make the playoffs and play well. But here's the thing: they started off really slow. They got some injuries. Lamar didn't play a couple games. And this is another situation where you kind of question, like, hey, well, do you think John Harbaugh is going to be gone in Baltimore? Look, the league average as far as coaches getting fired is anywhere between 5 to 7. So I think so far we only got 2, right, that have been fired, head coaches, or maybe 3 with Brian Daboll. So another disappointing season, but they're not out of it yet. They're only a game behind Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I don't. You saw the whole T.J. Watt situation. He is not going to play on Monday, so that doesn't help anything for them. And then we're talking about the Bengals. They started off 2-0. Then Joe goes down. They only won 1 game in his absence. Joe comes
Yeah.
back on Thanksgiving Day, beats Baltimore in Baltimore, and then last week they looked pretty good against Buffalo until Joe threw those back-to-back picks, and one of them was a pick six. So they're not going to make the playoffs. Another disappointing season for the Bengals, and then there was a report out earlier in the week. Joe made some comments saying he wasn't having fun anymore. So a lot of people took it as he wanted to be traded. I don't think he's going to get traded. I don't think he wants to be traded. He just got 2 of his guys paid in the offseason. And Zach Taylor, will he be back as a head coach? Maybe it's time for a change there in Cincinnati. Who knows? But obviously the game means more to Baltimore than it does Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think you kind of get the feeling that if you look at the Ravens, very start of the season, if the defense played just a little bit better, because the offense was scoring the first month of the season before Lamar, went out. The defense was so atrocious, though. You know, even after the Lion debacle on Monday night, Houston Texans managed to score 30 plus on them as well, if not 40. So, but that's like I said, that's neither here nor there. The Bengals defense has been bad all season. The Bengals, within Joe Burrow's absence, started 2 quarterbacks. It was Jake Browning. The Jake Browning effect did not work. So they went out and got Joe Flacco, and then Joe played really, really well on that Thursday night game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, caught them by surprise. But honestly, I think Joe Burrow's comments allude a little bit more to his frustration with his health, maybe. Missing so many games. Because at the end of the day, listen, you're throwing touchdown passes. Jamar Chase is getting 100-yard games. Higgins is getting his he's eating when he was out there. The defense, I don't know what he or anybody else in the Cincinnati, Ohio expected from the defense. That's kind of is what it is. You had to ride it out. You decided to be a team that was built off a quarterback and 2 wide receivers and 1 high-paid edge rusher who you couldn't really come to grips with all season in regards to his money. But for me, the Bengals are right where I thought they would be. I had them actually picking in the top 5. We don't know what they're going to finish record-wise ultimately, but I expected more from the Baltimore Ravens. I thought the Ravens would actually win the division. And they're in a situation right now where they're still battling in a very ugly division right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers, they don't have anything wrapped up. The Browns are finished. So it means more to the Ravens, of course. I think they have more pride also as an organization. They don't want to miss out on the playoffs, but this could be a situation where close to what's going on in Kansas City, maybe the Ravens and the Chiefs both need a very high pick. so they can solve some issues, man. Let's be honest about it. We're gonna get into the Chiefs a little later too, but you know, I'm not sure if the draft fixes, the Ravens situation. You brought up something a few days ago, maybe a week ago, in regards to the Ravens. Maybe that core has run its course. Now they've rebuilt a lot on the fly as far as the defense, but never solving the wide receiver position in all of that time there is kind of weird. Similar to Kansas City, Tyreek Hill was there before Patrick Mahomes got there, and he was a guy that you kind of scored and hit gold on as a late round pick, a guy who should have been probably a first or a second, but failed because of some off the field issues. So you've never drafted wide receiver good at all. That's Kansas City. That's Baltimore. And you never really have they missed their window. Now, to me, the window's still open because Lamar Jackson is still a really good player. Is he going to be MVP, Lamar Jackson? Maybe not. But
here's the thing, though. In a year where the Chiefs are down, right? Buffalo's kind of down a little bit. This was their opportunity. And we can say the same thing about Buffalo, right? I know they're still going to make the playoffs, but still. They had an opportunity to get in the postseason because there was going to be a lot of teams in there that haven't been there. And if they did get in, we didn't view them as strong. So another missed opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, I think the Bengals are going to win the game.
I mean, that's literally flipping a coin there between the Ravens and the Bengals right now.
But I'm just basing off what I saw.
Now I get
the last time they played.
I get it, man. No one envisioned the wheels falling off of the Ravens the way it did this season. Because listen, we all thought the offseason they had.
They were one of the best teams in the offseason.
The draft they had,
picks,
the talent they were able to get in the draft, added to the defensive guys they already had over there, and Derrick Henry having another year within the offense, and we expected Lamar Jackson to be healthy and be another MVP candidate. I think two main things that went wrong with that Ravens defense is the fact that McDonald left. He's been gone for the last 2 years. I don't think it's any coincidence at all that when he left is when the defense statistically went downhill. Also, Michael Pierce, the nose tackle, he retired. He was a major reason why everybody else in that front seven was able to eat and were able to get the sacks. And then was
Adebuke.
Madubuike, yeah. He was another guy that was gone. So people underestimated the impact of the interior that defensive line had on that defense, as well as Mike McDonald. Now, look, Mike McDonald, 2 years deep in Seattle. Look at that defense. One of the 2 or 3 best defenses in all of football. So I don't think it's necessarily a John Harbaugh thing. I think it's ultimately a defensive thing. The defense went to complete shit after McDonald left.
But let's not.
Lamar's also missing time the older he gets.
Yeah, and Lamar hasn't been playing good, and I think he's still hurt. I don't think he's 100%. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I got the Bengals.
I'm gonna take the Ravens. All right, let's move on to your team.
Oh man,
Raiders at Eagles. Rumor has it it's gonna be a whole lot of that white stuff falling from the sky. Not sure how the Raiders handle the cold. I'm not one of those people that factor in, that these teams, these players play for these cities, so they're not tough. A lot of these guys just happen to play for the team they play for. A lot of these guys are from Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, New York. So they're used to the cold. They just play for warm weather teams. But is this the time to catch the Eagles? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on regarding this team right now, man. The whole city has turned on their quarterback.
Yeah, and then
all over again for him, man.
He walked into the stadium wearing a Yankees hat. I don't know how that's going to sit with the Philly fans there. So Geno Smith will be out. Kenny Pickett will get the start for the Raiders.
Oh, small hands Pickett.
So we'll finally get to see Kenny Pickett a full game. He played for the Eagles last year.
Ooh, revenge.
I mean,
I don't know what for, but
in a down year for this franchise again.
Yeah,
the Eagles should win this football game. But the way that the Eagles have been struggling, you never know. And hopefully they keep on feeding Saquon in order for them to win. But I mean, if you're the Eagles, you got to keep it simple, man. You're playing against a bad football team. You're playing at home. You have everything to play for still, so might as well win. So, but I don't know. Can the Raiders maybe shock them? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not too high on the. I don't think they're going to win the football game, but
You got the Eagles, right?
I got the Eagles.
Okay. I don't want us to have to spend too much time on this because we're going to talk about the Raiders later on. But of course, the game means more to the Eagles. You fall now to 6 losses. You probably missed the playoffs. I'm not sure. We can eventually bring up the Eagles schedule. I don't know if you have the Eagles remaining schedule, but
I don't, but I can bring it up.
Splitting with the Cowboys and dropping some games in conference you probably shouldn't have dropped. Offense looking completely broken. I don't think this is the time of the year you want to go into the playoffs with the offense completely broken. Doesn't this kind of remind you of the team from 2 years ago that started 10-1 and then faltered down the stretch and then were 1 and done in the playoffs? Could you look at
Against Tampa?
Yeah.
All right, so I have their remaining schedule. So obviously they've lost 3 in a row. So they got the Raiders today. They got Commanders next week. In a couple weeks, they play the Bills in Buffalo, and then they play the Commanders again. So just
with the way they're playing right now, I think they lose at least 2 more games. So if they're a 7-loss team.
I think they lose to Buffalo. I think they win, they beat the Commanders twice in the Bears today.
They could play up to Buffalo. Buffalo doesn't necessarily stop the run very well. So that could be a game where they beat Buffalo. Defensively, the Eagles are still good. So they could still give Josh Allen and that offense issues. But I think they probably split with the Commanders, I say.
I don't think so. Commanders.
You think they'll beat them twice?
Yeah, I think they'll beat them twice.
Do you think they'll beat the Eagles twice?
No. I think the Eagles will beat the Commanders twice.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a divisional opponent. They're good to score. They're good to score at least 1 off of them. And I think they lose to Buffalo. So, I mean, that would put them at 7 losses. So, you think the Cowboys catch them?
No.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if they would have beat Detroit a couple weeks back, I would say yeah. And look, Cowboys play Minnesota defense tonight. So, Minnesota defense pretty good.
Yeah.
Offense, different story though.
All right. Well, we both got the Eagles, right?
Yep.
Moving forward, another team, disappointing team, the Cardinals. You got to spend too much time on them. We both thought that they would at least contend for the NFC West this season. They are
Texans.
Well, yeah, I'm taking the Texans.
Texans.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans.
We don't have to waste too much time on this game.
I just want to give people a little bit of insight to the game, man.
I don't think a lot of people are interested in this football game.
The bettors are.
Well, the bettors are, but I mean, if you're a bettor, better than to bet, for the Cardinals to win because they're not, and they're playing a really, really good defense. I think they're averaging only letting opposite opponents score an average of 17 points.
Yeah.
So,
well, man.
And I think today we finally get the offense rolling in Houston. I think today that happens, and I think Woody Marks is a big part of that.
Yeah, I believe the Texans win. I'm still questionable on by how much or how competitive or non-competitive this game could turn out to be, because I could ultimately see that Texans offense playing down. Because listen, the Cardinals defense hasn't been too bad this season at all. They've been pretty good against the pass. They've had their sets of injuries or whatnot, but they've more than held up their end of the bargain. Now, have the Cardinals quit? That question could come into play, but I don't think it's going to be easy at all, man.
And I think Jonathan Gannon's another head coach that's going to be gone. So what? That puts us at 4, 5. So, look, Kyler Murray's done there in Arizona, more than likely. The head coach is probably done. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out today again, right? Been finding that I think he had an oblique injury. So it just has not been a good year in the desert for the Cardinals. And they've been playing a lot better at home than they have been on the road.
I'm just saying, in a strange season like we've seen stranger things happen.
Not in
Stranger
this game.
things than the Cardinals beating the Texans. we've
Yeah.
seen we've seen stranger than that, bro.
Texans got everything to play for. Cardinals do not.
All right. Chargers at Chiefs.
All
Two
right.
teams still got something to play for. Chiefs are pretty much out of it. They got one foot in the grave. Well, I would say they got one foot on an upper Achilles and probably a
Yeah,
hip in the grave.
they already ordered the casket. Yeah. They're just waiting to close that thing shut.
they just somebody tying the tie for them.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Chargers though, it's still an up and down football team. Jekyll and Hyde, you don't know what you're gonna really get from them. Herbert's out there playing with one hand. They're still competing though. They're still in the midst of it. They're sitting up there at 9-4. No chance really. What are they? 2 full games behind um the Broncos right now?
Well, look, yeah. Well, they're not winning the division.
Yeah.
That's over with. Um, they're 6-7 right now. Chargers 9-4. I mean, they're done, but I think they win today. I think they beat the Chargers.
The Chiefs.
Yep.
So I'm looking at Chiefs win today. That put them squarely at 7-7. They're 5-2 at home, 1-5 on the road. What could really kill them, I think, ultimately is the fact that they're 3-5 in the conference, and 1-2 in the division. So it means a whole lot to the Chiefs. But if we want to be honest about it, we can question how much does it really mean to the Chiefs. And the players, well, listen, man, let's be honest about it. Let's talk the real about the Chiefs. That's an old football team, man. And that's a team that also paid some of those younger guys when they deserve to be paid. But some of those guys like Trent McDuffie isn't playing up to the level that he played up to the past couple seasons. They got a lot of guys on that defense that won't be back next season. We also brought up the possibility of them getting off of Chris Jones, maybe before it's too late. Because, you can get from a team like Philadelphia who wants everybody and already has defensive tackles. There's some teams out there that you could probably still, I'm not sure if they would get a first round pick for Chris Jones right now, but you could probably get a second and a fourth for him, a second and a fifth maybe, and start the rebuilding on the fly around Patrick Mahomes, because this is something you and I talked about. They should have gotten their Bijan Robinson or their Jahmyr Gibbs a couple years ago. And that would have helped extend their window. That would have helped extend Patrick Mahomes' career moving forward, similar to the Denver Broncos drafting Terrell Davis, putting him with Patrick Mahomes, and ultimately, not Mahomes, but putting him with John Elway and winning 2 Super Bowls towards the end of Elway's career. But I think the game truly means more to the Chargers. The Chargers have way more to play for. Beating the Chiefs will put them in a very good situation right now. So I'm going with the Chargers because I think the game really means more to the Chargers. Could the Chiefs pull it out? It's possible. But the Chargers are also 6-2 at home. That counts. 7-2 in the conference, 4-0 in the division. So if you could get to a conference record of 8-2, I think with 3 weeks left in the season, that puts the Chargers in a real good situation, man. Because the Steelers, that's what you got to deal with, though. The Chargers have a possibility to win 11 games. They can still have to go on the road and play at Pittsburgh. if the Steelers win that division, in which I think they need to revamp the seedings as well once the playoffs start. So I got the Chargers, man.
Yeah, give it the Chiefs.
Got a hunch?
I do.
Let's go.
Hasn't been too right this season, but I got a hunch.
All right, man. Bills at Pats, right? Bills at Pats. Okay. So let me bring up some numbers real quick. Patriots have won how many games straight now? 11?
10 or
11?
11.
Okay, 11
11.
straight games, sitting there squarely at 11-2. They have the ability to all but wrap up. Well, they're still battling with the Broncos. Did they lose to the Broncos this season? Or they
Well,
beat Denver, did they?
so the reason why Denver's won is because in common opponents they have the better record. So New England back in week 1 lost to the Raiders. Broncos have beat them twice. That puts them at the number 1 seed.
Yep. All right. So not Broncos, Pats sitting right now 6-0 on the road. They have the opportunity today to all but bury Buffalo's chances of winning the division. If they can get to 12-2, that'll put Buffalo at 9-5, helping them out tremendously. And that will also drop Buffalo down to 2-3 in the division. So, all right. I'm taking Buffalo in this game.
Me too.
New England is really, really good overall. But there's something about Josh Allen in most cases that doesn't mesh well with New England. And he has the ability, he's done it more than a handful of times to single-handedly be that hammer that smashes the Patriots. I'm not saying he's going to smash the Patriots today, but I think once again, this game means a lot to Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. But for a team like Buffalo, who's starting to rev up around the point in time in the season, they usually start to rev up and start playing some of their best football. I think that comeback win against Cincinnati was kind of symbolic to what they do around this time of season every year. And I just think I got a hunch. That the Bills, they're going to pull this game out and that'll put them at 10-4.
Yep.
Right. Yep. That'll put them at 10-4. Outside of a few other teams, I believe that'll put them as the only other team outside of those divisional leaders to get to 10 wins in the AFC. And with a down year in the AFC, that will pretty much put Buffalo all but in the playoffs. So, yep, I got Buffalo. You got Buffalo as well. For what kind of reason, sir?
Well, I think the first game they played, I think it was a week 4, week 3, week 4, or something like that. The game could have gone either way. Josh Allen made some critical mistakes in that game. I don't think that happens today. I think a big part of this is going to be the running game with James Cook finally getting going. The one thing that they don't have is a number 1 receiver besides Dalton Kincaid, right? And that's something that they have been trying to fix since Diggs left. And he got traded. So I just think Buffalo's a better football team. And, New England, great story this season, but they're a little bit ahead of schedule, in my opinion. I thought maybe it was going to take Vrabel 2-3 years to get things rolling, and, they're good now. And, I think the Bills are just, better equipped to win today. They just got to stick to the run, man. They give James Cook the ball and, let him do whatever he does.
Yeah, I mean, they did for the most part last week, and then Josh was able to bring things home down the stretch. But yeah, if they get to 10 wins today, you look around the rest of the AFC, Steelers sitting at 7 wins with 4 games left. Jags are 9-4 right now. They have a possibility to get to 10-4 this season, which I think is massive within the first year of what they have going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to the AFC West, Broncos have a possibility to get to 12 early. And then the Chargers also, like you said, sitting at 9-4. So I think it's paramount if you want to compare Buffalo right now to the Chargers. Both teams need to get to that 10th win. I think it's very, very crucial when it comes to seedings to get to that 10th win. Because, nobody wants to really go play at Buffalo. I'm pretty sure the Chargers don't want to have to go to play there. The Steelers probably don't care. Or maybe they do. Aaron Rodgers may have so, may not. But it's paramount to get to that 10th win today for a couple teams.
Yeah, and Buffalo needs to gain more than what the Patriots do.
Definitely. All right, let's get to another team that we just touched on who's trying to reach 10 wins today. The Jaguars hosting those pesky Jets. That's one of those games that could possibly go either way. But wait, Brady Cook said, "Hold my beer." There's always the element of surprise, my guy. We don't know what to expect from former Missouri quarterback Brady Cook at all.
All right, look. Hey. I know Aaron Glenn's your guy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Everyone that watches this knows this.
We talking Jets,
They got
Jags.
no chance.
Jets, Jags.
They got no chance.
We talking Jets, Jags.
We're talking about a team that's got a lot to play for and one that does not. And we know what team that is.
I get it, but we're talking Jets, Jags.
Trevor Lawrence has been playing good, man.
Okay. I mean, I'm taking the Jags too. I'm just saying.
All right, there you go.
We're talking Jets, Jags.
Nah, I'm taking the Jacks. Not the Jets, the Jags.
Speaking of the Jets, and we know, we're gonna get into the Jets later later on in the show. But let's move on to two more teams who may not have squat to play for. So Commanders, Giants, both of these teams appear to have their franchise quarterbacks. Giants kind of stumbled upon it by circumstance of Russell Wilson being benched earlier in the season, Jackson Dart being forced to play earlier on than I think the Giants ultimately wanted him to play. Jayden Daniels being hurt all season for the most part, along with losing, was it Eckler that they lost for the season? Which one running back was it they lost?
Eckler.
Yeah. So not addressing some other needs along the offensive line during the offseason, having one of the older defenses in football that you chose to not address during the draft as well. So for me, that was a reason why I didn't have them in my top 10 in regards to power rankings at the beginning of the season. I know you did, mainly because, Jayden Daniels looked like a complete superstar last season. But when you reach the conference championship in your rookie season, you have nowhere else to go but down, unless you win it all the very next year. But both teams had massive disappointing seasons. I think we had higher expectations out of the Commanders, though. But I'm going to take the Giants at home.
Yeah, I'm taking Giants. Not too much to say on this game. I won't be watching it.
Of course
well,
you will.
But
of course you will.
Yeah, well.
All right, let's move on to another game that's going to reach historical measures. Browns at Bengals. Both two Midwest teams with two West Coast quarterbacks and Shedeur Sanders and Caleb Williams. Boy, listen, man. Caleb wears sleeves all year long. Caleb may have on 3 pairs of sleeves today and a hoodie, the James Jones hoodie. He might be rocking
the James Jones hoodie. Damn, shout out James Jones.
He might become one of these guys. Might become the first quarterbacks to rock hoodies in the NFL game, man. Yeah. So for those who didn't know, it's cold as hell. Browns at Bears minus 20. I think by kickoff, wind chill minus 20.
Maybe they'll have Frosty the Snowman out there catching balls. I mean, who knows? It's pretty cool out there.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bears. Game means more to the Bears. I think it's a game where neither offense is going to really be able to get things going. When you look at the weather.
Run the ball.
Yeah, definitely. You guaranteed to get a trick play or two in this type of weather out of Ben Johnson.
And a trick 2-point conversion out of Kevin Stefanski.
There you go. Then you got that massacre going on in Cleveland. Yeah, listen, Bears. Let me go take a look at the Bears in the NFC real quick, sir. Bears got a lot to play for. 9-4 right now. If they can get to 10-4 before the Packers. Also, you're talking about Eagles have an opportunity to get to 9-5 today in the game against the Raiders. If the Eagles lose today to the Raiders, they fall to 8-6. That kind of buries their playoff chances. The NFC South, we're going to get to the Panthers in a second, but nobody over there really affects the Bears because you're talking about 7-6 Carolina and a 7-7 Panthers, 7-7 Tampa Bay team who currently seems to be free falling right now. But NFC West, 10-3 Rams, 10-3 Seahawks. So just because, and also you got a 49er team who plays the Titans today, they also have the ability to get to 10 wins. So if you're the Bears right now, if you don't get to 10 wins this day, oh boy, your ass might be in trouble too. So it just means more.
Yeah, they're not losing.
Yeah, it means more to the
They're not losing. Yeah, Bears.
But think about it, bro. We could have, by the end of the day, we could have 10 plus win Seattle, 10 plus win Ram team who plays Detroit, a 10 win 49er team who plays the Titans, and a 10 win Bears team, and a 10 win Packer team. And the AFC only has possibly what, a couple 12 win teams. And maybe it's amazing how well the quarterback play I think has been down in the AFC. But I think it's obvious the better conference this year has been the NFC.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, all right, man, let's move on because we both have the Bears. Um, this is a game right here that I think is huge for Carolina and the maturation, at least to prove the maturation of this organization and Bryce Young. The Saints have played decent. I think they played way better than what their 3-10 record shows. They've competed in a lot of those games. They're just missing a lot of high-end talent at a lot of key positions. But the Panthers have the ability to get to 8-6 today. Of course, the Bucks lost a couple nights ago. They're 7-7. That'll put them in a situation at 9-6. They could get a full game and a half of them, if I'm not mistaken, over Tampa going into the next week. Can the young Panthers steal the South, man, and win a game that means more to them than it does a 3-10 Saints team?
I got the Panthers winning today. Play, good defense, run the ball, and if Bryce isn't making any mistakes, I think they win.
Yeah, I go with Carolina too because they have the chance to lose today and still be in first place. They'll just be tied with Tampa, if I'm not mistaken, at 7-7.
But if they really want to make separation,
Oh
though,
yeah, of course.
as little it can be, they got to win.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a football team that I think realizes that, like, hey, we win today, we're in a pretty good spot. Tampa did their job. They lost.
But I think if you look at Carolina in the grand scheme of things, just within the realm of their division alone, they're not pressed to win 10 games. They're not pressed to win 9 games. They could win 8. Well, it's still possible they could win 8 and win the division, but they could win 9 games and win that division. So for them in general, they're not going to win more games than whoever wins the NFC West. They're not going to win more games than whoever wins the NFC North. Even with the East, for that matter, whoever wins the East typically is going to win more than whoever wins this division. So at the end of the day, they're going to be the 4th seed. Whether it's the Panthers or the Bucks, whoever wins that division is going to be the 4th seed anyway.
And they're going to host a playoff game. So
yeah, they could wind up hosting a 12-win 49er team or a 12-win. Like, does that really make sense to you?
Well, I mean, it hasn't made sense in a long time, but how else are you going to do it?
Do a reseeding? Does it? I mean, is it fair? Does it even make sense that, let's just say, the Rams or the Seahawks win 12 games and finish second in that division, and they have to go on the road and play at an 8-win Panther team who they lost to a few weeks prior. So there's intrigue there too.
Well, life's not fair, and that's the way things are. And if you don't want that to happen,
well, change it, damn it. I'm sick of the NFC South though doing this every year, man. they get they score free one every year, bro.
The NFC West did that one year when you had the Saints visiting the Seattle Seahawks, and that Marshawn Lynch, when he scored the touchdown, it was like an earthquake there. So
yeah, well, we both going with the Panthers to win it all today.
Yep.
All right. Maybe the game of the day. If not the game of the day, one of the games of the day. Lions at Rams. Detroit Lions with a whole lot to play for, as well as the Rams. Rams trying to.
The Rams too.
Yeah. This means a lot in the grand scheme of things when it comes down to the conference. Rams have the ability to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. If they can get to 11-3, that will go ahead and push the Detroit Lions down to 8-6, kind of burying their playoff chances down the stretch, needing a whole lot of help within the rest of the NFC to hopefully get into the playoffs. And getting to 11-3, hoping for an upset. Maybe the Colts can beat the Seahawks or whatever. Maybe the Titans can beat the 49ers and kind of help hold them off. The Rams have the ability to kind of put a stranglehold on things because they got 2 games up on the Packers. Nobody from the NFC East is going to be able to catch the Rams for that matter. And of course, nobody from the NFC South. So, Rams get after the quarterback if they can't do anything else on defense. The secondary has been shaky at best. That's not good when you're going against a team that does have Jameson Williams out there. They do have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have a guy in Isaac Tesla, 6'3", 215, who can run and make plays downfield. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's looking like the best running back in football, a guy who can hit a home run at any point in time. And then, the Rams have a ton of wide receivers, and the Detroit Lions are down to guys off the street for the most part playing cornerback. Both starting safeties. Brian Branch is out with an Achilles for the rest of the season. Kirby Joseph.
That's a killer injury, man.
Yep. Kirby Joseph is a guy with a knee injury that's held him out of the past 7 games, as well as this game for the most part. To me, this game has the makings of scoring. Whole lot of scoring. I could see something around the realm of 41-36, something like that either way, which means that it's going to be a 16-14 game for the most part.
That's the way I kind of see it, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be
game.
a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. The team that's going to be able to run the football, better is going to win the football game. Is St. Brown, is he healthy? I know he looked good a couple weeks back.
Now he's a little beat up. Admittedly, he's a little beat up. He does a whole lot blocking scheme-wise within our offense. So, he's never been like an explosive separation type of wide receiver. He's always been an underneath guy who runs a lot of mesh routes and everything. So he gets bumped around a lot. Very physical wide receiver. But he was able to go out there and gut it out last week's game against Dallas, which was very, very galvanizing for our locker room. Dan Campbell talked about that specific thing in his presser earlier the week. But man, I'm going down. Yeah, I'm going Detroit. I'm going Detroit. I think this game means a lot to both teams, so I can't really play that card there. They've beaten the Rams the last 2 games, even though I do understand that has nothing, at least has no bearings of what goes on at this game here particularly. But, Stafford is playing the best football of his career. He had a stretch where I forgot how many games straight without throwing a pick. Had that questionable game against Carolina, where things got kind of out of hand.
And if you're the Lions, that's the kind of tape you have to look at. And I know you already played this team a couple of times, right? You guys are not unfamiliar with each other, but if I was them, Carolina was able to force Matthew Stafford to make some turnovers, things like that. That's what they need to do today. And Brian Branch being out obviously does not help anything on the back end. But to me, give the football to your best player in your team, which is Jahmyr Gibbs. Let him do his thing.
Yeah.
And that's how the Lions are going to win the game.
Yeah, and a comment off of what Brent DeWitt just said. I think it's going to come down to, and we can say this about every single game on the slate, every single Sunday. Who's better in the trenches? We played better in the trenches against Dallas last week. We had been pretty bad in the trenches, at least offensively, prior to that Dallas Cowboys game. We played a lot better in the trenches against Dallas. The Rams' offensive line isn't one of the better in the league. So, I think our defensive front 7 can give them some issues. Tackle-wise, what are their plans against Aiden Hutchinson? This could be one of those games where Aiden Hutchinson is out there. He's able to eat as well. So, like I said, it's one of those games, in my opinion, that could go either way. Wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won it. Wouldn't be surprised if Detroit won it. Could be me going with my heart as well. But, Detroit is still a good football team. So it's not out of the realm that they could beat the Rams. So I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, give me the Lions.
All right, sir. Let's move on because we are flying through these games. Let's keep things in the NFC West for the most part, even though this game still means a lot. To the
My
Colts.
favorite game of the day.
Yes, man.
My favorite game
Yes.
of the day.
Yes, because whew, old man Rivers, hot roast,
Felipe Rivers.
hot roast and mashed potato Rivers is back against questionably the number one defense in football, man. So what's the game plan? A whole lot of draws, a whole lot of counters, a whole lot of traps, a whole lot of dashes, a whole lot of H-backs lefts, a whole lot of H-back
Screens.
toss rights, a screen here and there, maybe to one of those smaller
But
wide receivers. Like, what's the plan? And is it
if the
smart to
Colts,
play this man off the streets?
well, you can. I don't know. Is it smart? Probably not. But what other options do they have?
You watching this game?
Yes, I am. Philip Rivers got the dad bod going on. He's one of us. All right. So look, if you're the Colts, Seattle knows you're going to want to run the football. So if you have any chance to win this football game, Philip Rivers is going to have to throw the football. He's going to have to throw the ball. It's got to, Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. And then that way you can open up the running game. Because look, let's be honest here. When they're playing at home, especially, man, we've seen some routes this year. We saw New Orleans, you saw Arizona. Once they get rolling, man, they're gonna be hard to stop.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle. I'm
taking Seattle too.
It is a man in a season where we've seen stranger things. This would be unquestionably the strangest. Do you expect Seattle to take it easy on them, on Philip Rivers?
No, why would they? No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm sending a message
against old man Rivers.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Get up, Philip. They'll be pulling all that twitching and shaking on the ground either. It's gonna be over, man. Oh man. Yeah, I don't get how the plan can be anything other than just run the ball. Tyler Warren short. Every now and then, maybe some play action into some quick pass game. Playing him to me is idiotic and a slap in the face to Riley Leonard, a guy who's been there all off season, a guy who's mobile, a guy who can take advantage of that Seattle defense, who does like to blitz a decent amount within the front seven. I don't think you're expecting Seattle to just put in or implement a take it easy on Philip type of defense. So I don't get playing him either. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I'm rolling with the Colts, not the Colts. I'm rolling with the Seahawks, man.
Oh, you said the Colts already, man.
No, Seahawks big. Packers, Broncos, bro. We talked about the Broncos a little bit earlier in the show. They have ability to get to 12 wins. And then you're looking at the Green Bay Packers. They have a chance to get to 10-4. 10-3, 10-3-1. For that matter, they're trying to hold off the Chicago Bears as well as the Detroit Lions, who still have an outside chance at winning the division. There's a good chance that whoever wins the NFC North will finish with a better record than whoever wins the NFC East, unless the Eagles wake up down the stretch and win 3 or 4 straight games. Whoever wins the South, we keep talking about that because it still plays a role in this, because whoever wins the NFC South, there's a very good chance that they're going to be the 4th seed in the NFC. And whoever does not win the NFC North could be one of those teams that could see themselves going on the road to play at Carolina. And it could be my Detroit team. We talked about that earlier in the week. I'm thinking on Detroit, on Lions Avenue. There's a good chance that Detroit could be the 7th seed and they could find themselves going on the road at Carolina. I mean, not at Carolina, but at no, because the 4th seed will play the 5 seed, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, it still could wind up being us, but there's going to be a team that's much better than Carolina that's going to wind up playing at Carolina. So
yeah, quick injury update on that Bears game. Roma Dunze looks like he re-aggravated his foot and he's gonna be out today.
Oh.
Not like they use him or anything, but
right. So yeah, I'm not sure how much that means the Bears, unless you're talking about in regards to run blocking, because they don't use, like you said, they don't use them a whole lot. But Packers at Broncos, crazy things happen at Mile High. I'm taking the Broncos.
I'm taking the Packers.
Woo-wee. Reasons. Give us reasons.
I got a hunch, man. Josh Jacobs was coming in questionable with a knee injury. I think he's got a big game. And I think the defense gets after Bo Nix and they force 1 or 2 turnovers. I think Packers win.
Yeah, I think I'm going after Broncos for the same reasons you're going with Denver. I mean, with Green Bay. I think that defense overall is going to be a little bit too much for Jordan Love, rushing the ball wise as well as through the air. And like I said, this is another one of those games as well that could go either way. And I'm going with a hunch a little bit as well because Green Bay is a good football team, but they also have a tendency to play down to these type of situations. And I'm kind of hoping Green Bay loses today. That does help us out a lot. We did get swept by Green Bay this season. First game of the season, then they got us again on Thanksgiving. But yeah, we ain't got to spend too much on this game. I think it's going to be a hell of a game as well, though. But I'm riding with Denver. And here we got Fidel's upset of the day.
No.
He has the Tennessee
No upset
Titans
here.
playing spoiler. And going into
Not
Frisco
today.
in that wonderful weather this time of year.
Well, it's not Frisco. It's Santa Clara.
Well, Santa Clara, Santa Claus. I don't care. I got the 49ers.
I do too. And we don't have to spend too much time on this game. We really don't.
Yeah, you're right. We don't. All right.
McCaffrey does have a back injury, though.
Yeah. Vikings at Cowboys. Can the Cowboys bounce back?
Yep.
What are they right now? The Cowboys are currently
6-6-1.
6-6-1. Just because I think we
sound
all
horrible.
Well, I mean, listen, we all believe the Eagles
6-6-1.
Yep, 6-6-1. We all believe the Eagles are going to win today, right? Over the Raiders.
Yes.
So that would put the Eagles at 9-5. If you're the Cowboys, if you have any shot at making the playoffs, you cannot fall to 6-7-1 today. I think this game means more to Minnesota. I mean, more to Dallas than it does to Minnesota. But, listen, Minnesota's one of those teams I know firsthand because they've been in my division forever and ever and ever. They're one of those teams that even when they're on the outside looking in come playoff time, they're still one of those teams and organizations that's full of pride, and they don't quit. They don't know when enough is enough. So Dallas better come ready to play because Minnesota's going to play hard. You already know what that Brian Flores defense is going to bring. And, Minnesota, as long as you have Jefferson out there, I know you feel the way you feel in regards to J.J. McCarthy for that matter, but you're going to have to compete. It's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy against Detroit last week. It's not going to be easy at Minnesota. But I'm taking Dallas because I do think Dallas has a lot more to play for.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys.
All right. Your game of the week. Dolphins at Steelers.
Hey, this game means something.
Yeah, hot team versus cold team. I'm talking about weather-wise. I'm taking the Steelers.
No, not record-wise. Yeah, I'm taking Pittsburgh too.
Yeah. I mean, we are impressed with the Dolphins on a 4-game winning streak.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. What happened? Did it take Tyreek Hill getting hurt for this team to?
It's like you read my mind.
Well, no. I mean,
they got the running game going.
I think it's just a coincidence, man. You don't get better losing a guy like Tyreek Hill, man.
You don't.
But but listen, Steelers. I'm gonna go over to the AFC real quick, man, because if you're the Steelers, let's look at the possibility of this division. Let's just say the unthinkable happens and the Steelers lose to Miami. That'll put them at 7-7. Let's say the Ravens beat the Bengals. They'll be 7-7. If the Ravens lose to the Bengals, they'll be 6-8. You're still in first place. Like that's how bad I think that division has been this season. Where if you're if you're the Steelers right now, hey, who gives a damn if we beat the Dolphins or not? There's a good chance we're gonna still be in first place.
Yep.
Especially if the Bengals do the Steelers a solid and beat the Ravens.
Which they will. No, I think so.
Yeah. Still bad football. I don't want to talk about the Steelers too much, man. It's just they not fun to watch, bro. They really not. And you gave DK all that money and can't figure out what to do with him. And that's an odd team. But all right, man, before we get out of here. So Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy yesterday. 6'5", 225-pound quarterback out of University of Indiana, had a tremendous season with a bunch of pinnacles. You and I talked about the Ohio State game being his stamping in regards to being the best player in college football this season. He has the ability, at least I believe Indiana's going to win it. I just got a feeling Indiana's going to win it all, man. This is one of those magical seasons, one of those magical teams right now. They got the quarterback in place. They got the confident head coach. They got the playmakers on offense. They make enough happen on defense. What do you make of Mendoza winning the Heisman Trophy and the entire situation, which I thought was very touching? Him being able to have his grandparents there and being able to speak to them and let them know exactly what's going on and how important and how key and pivotal they were in his life.
Well, we talked about it before we went on, right? Indiana was known for a college basketball school. Well, now it's going to be a football school. Him beating Ohio State was it last week, right? In the championship game. I mean, to me, at that point, he had won the Heisman. The way that they won the game towards the end, right? Making some critical plays. And, I'm happy for him, man. We're talking about a guy that was, that was in the transfer portal. The only reason why he went there was because his brother's the backup, essentially, right? And he talked about how much turnover. I think he had 3 different offensive coordinators at Cal. Went to Indiana in the first year. They went undefeated, won their conference. And, now they're in the college football playoff. And I think, to me, they're going to win the national championship.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, when you look at Mendoza, and we're going to move over a little bit because, it always bleeds over into the NFL at some point in time. I think when you evaluate him, you have to take into account because, like I said, he wasn't really that good at Cal. If you go back and look at last year's film at Cal, the offensive line wasn't good. The skill position players wasn't good. You can make the argument that he turned things around so dramatically in 1 year going around to Indiana that the coaching wasn't that good either at Cal. And that's neither here nor there, not trying to bash anybody at Cal, but he obviously was better under Indiana than he was at Cal. You talked about the 3 different offensive coordinators he had when he was there at California as well. But, questions are going to come into play in regards to, okay, is he at one end of the pendulum? Is he at the other, or is he somewhere in the middle? I ultimately believe he's somewhere in the middle with the opportunity to be a whole lot better because you have to hold him accountable. And with these players, we talked about it before the show in regards to like Jayden Daniels, who struggled for 3 years at Arizona State. And then when he went to LSU, transfers to LSU and then has the best season of his career. You have to judge him off of what you saw this year. And if you're going to draft him, you have to be able to implement it to play what makes him comfortable, what makes him a high-level quarterback. And also, because it's only fair, you have to go back and look at him at Cal and some of the bad habits he had at California, how those things changed in Indiana. Did you see any of those things at Indiana as well that could possibly hold him back? Because it's all about evaluating these quarterbacks overall, not just off 1 year, because it's hard to really get a feel for a quarterback off of just 1 year. It's best to get 2-3 years of starting experience out of them before you stamp them completely. But I just think, listen, man, and the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick for a franchise.
As it stands right now.
Yeah. For a team that desperately needs it, And seeing what went on with the quarterback position this year, I don't see how the Raiders would pass on that unless things fall apart down the stretch because, the NFL draft evaluation process is very long. There's no guarantee he's going to be the number one prospect, maybe not even the number one quarterback if he comes out. He could go back. I think it's highly unlikely he goes back to college, but if you're the Raiders in that situation, I don't see how you don't take Mendoza at number one if he's sitting there and you're there.
Yeah, you got to drop the quarterback.
Yeah.
Scoring update. Texans are winning 7-0,
Oh,
by
man.
the way. 57-yard pass from C.J. Stroud to Nico Collins.
Nico, former Wolverine. Yeah. All right, so you did want to touch on one more thing before we got out of here. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past 2-3+ days, former Michigan head coach Sharon Moore has had a whole lot of unsavory things going on in regards to his name and his family name in the media. Don't have to explain to everyone exactly what happened. I'm pretty sure everyone out there knows what happened. Just my initial thoughts on the situation. I think it's very unfortunate for him or anyone in that position to be given that opportunity at any organization, any establishment, any school, any program for that matter of that prestige in college sports to be given that opportunity to flush it all down the toilet very, very frivolously for some of the most unsavory reasons. Just to leave it at that. I mean, I think it's very unfortunate because I think he was in a position, if we just keeping it football for that matter and professionally, Sharon Moore was in position to really, really open doors for a lot of other people that, ultimately would not have those same opportunities afforded to them. And we talked about not necessarily wanting to bring race into it, but at the end of the day, we don't walk around with our heads stuck in the sand. We do understand that in this country, in this world, race does play a part in a lot of things. Just because you don't view things racial doesn't mean the person who works next to you at work does or doesn't. So, like I said, at the end of the day, we don't hide our heads in the sand when it comes to race. We discuss these things. And, he was in a situation and he was put in that situation via Jim Harbaugh, who had it in his contract that, hey, listen, when I leave, because ultimately I'm going to come to Michigan, but when I come to Michigan, I want to be back in the NFL where he's at right now. And when I ultimately leave, this man is going to replace me as head coach. And he was in a very, very fortunate situation and he handled everything very poorly. On top of that, the program fell behind him. Now you can argue those reasons why the program ultimately failed after Jim Harbaugh left. The program wasn't left in the best hands, honestly. We all know what was going on at Michigan for those almost 9.5, those 10 years that he was there as well. So Michigan's hands aren't completely clean in this situation either. But like I said, it's very unfortunate. You can't do stuff like that. I'm a married man. And when you bring that type of mojo, that type of juju around your life, it eventually reaches home and you find your family in a situation now where they're all over social media, your children, your wife, everybody's making jokes about everybody. It's a very, very bad look. Very bad look.
Yeah, it's just bad. Overall bad situation for for the coach, for the university, for all parties involved. And man, it's just when you start reading some of the things that came out about the whole situation, it's just crazy that you would put yourself in that position. But yeah, it's a really bad situation, man.
Well, regardless of money, people are always going to be who they are at their true core. It doesn't matter how much money they get. It doesn't matter what type of position you give them, stature-wise. A fool is always going to be a fool. And like I said, some of the stuff that's come out about him and messaging OnlyFans models and doing stuff that you would expect some common guy like you and I would do. And you're the head coach at the University of Michigan. I don't care where you are. I think that's very foolish to not tie up loose ends, to put yourself just out there in the open like that. It's very arrogant. It's very brazen. It's very, I'm a made man and I can do what I want to do. And listen, man, we live in a society that will very much take pride in letting you know, nah, you're not who you think you are. And we're gonna sit you right down. And they set him down, and he's reaping for it now.
Yep.
Like I said, it's just very unfortunate, man, because I don't root for anybody. Listen, we've all had things that we've done in our lives that we don't want anybody to find out about. But we live in a society that loves to get you caught up in I got you moments. And this is Sherrone Moore's I got you moment.
Yep. Scoring update. Kansas City just scored.
What?
So they're up 7-0.
The Chiefs score?
Yeah.
Mahomes. When the hell did they start doing that?
A Mahomes rush.
Oh, that's
first and goal for the Eagles. Saquon got the ball and he got stopped. New England's already up, I believe, too. 7-0, or if not 3-0.
All right. Thank you for those scoring updates.
And Arizona's losing 10-0 now.
Oh, man. Good thing we didn't pick Arizona, huh? Virtual high five. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Remember, if you want to see a replay of this video, this live, you can always hit Lyons Avenue on our page. This video is always up there every single Sunday if you want to go back and check it out again. Also, this week in pro football, I'm going to need you to eventually start dropping the link in the comment section for everybody to go follow the channel on YouTube if they want to go back and watch these videos in their entirety. Till next time, like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us.